All right, all right, all right. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com on the longest day of the year, the solstice today, June 20th. Hot as heck out here. The sun reached its zenith and its path across our sky. An amazing celestial game that the planets play every year here. Let's dig right in. I want to talk about 5-6 things that I see people fail at in training to go out armed into the world. And then I want to give you the 5 or 6 things that you can do better so that if nature pushes you into a situation where you need to defend yourself or somebody else for righteous reasons, you have the best possible chance of coming out on top. Let's dig right in. So first, what are we doing out here? I've got a bunch of gear out here, and I want to talk about the gear, not saying buy this or buy that, but I want to talk about why I choose these things. And let's start at the base. Got a holster on me I'm going to take off. I want to talk about the holster and the belt. The belt is the foundation of it all. In fact, one of my favorite belts from EDC Belt Company is called the Foundation Belt, EDC Belt Company. Great belt. What do I like about it? It's flexible where it needs to be. It's rigid and stiff where you need it to be, if you know what I'm saying. Very simple, sleek design, made in the USA by great people, EDC Belt Company. I'm wearing right now the Tenacore Zero belt. Tenacore, you'll hear their name come up a few times in this video. Tenacore's been making holsters for years, top-notch stuff. And the Zero belt here, similar in minimalist stylings as the EDC Belt Company belt. I don't have a preference one over the other. I wouldn't say one is my favorite. They're both top-notch belts by top-notch people. And sometimes you don't like Velcro, sometimes you do. And then for those of you dirty boys that like leather, and I'm one of them, ouch. Flagrant Beard, good dude. Dave Roden is a great dude. He owns the Flagrant Beard Company. And this one's got a couple cool things, like it's got the little pocket here where you can shove something like maybe a folded up $50 bill or a handcuff key, something like that. If somebody was thinking about cuffing you up, you sick perverts. Made in the USA, hand stitched, all that jazz. Affordable for a quality product. You know, it's not hundreds of dollars. I think they're like 70-ish dollars maybe. I've had this one for maybe 8 years. I wear it a lot. To me, sometimes a belt like this doesn't fit. If I tuck a shirt in, to have this belt, you know, visible with a tucked in shirt, I want to see something that's maybe got a little of the class. Good belt. Good belt's going to do a few things. It's going to keep my gun where I need it to be. It's going to keep the gun on me where somebody maybe in a scuffle is not going to break my belt. We see belts break often. Stuff that's purpose built, like a belt for carrying tools, is not built like a belt you buy at Walmart to hold up your Dockers, Dad, okay? So get a durable belt, period. Next, holster. We could talk for hours on holsters. I maybe own 500 holsters, not an exaggeration. I have drums full of holsters. Outside the waistband, inside the waistband, over the butt cheek, over the appendix. I don't care about that for the sake of this video. I want you to get a quality holster. I've got a Tenacore here. I've got a Vetter Light Tuck here. I've got a Dark Star gear here. I've got a KSG Armory holster here. I've got a JM Custom Kydex here. Old school, Safariland, AKA John Bianchi, one of the OGs. John Bianchi had a saying. John started Bianchi Holsters and eventually bought out by Safariland. John had a saying that was one gun, one holster all the time. So here's a failure I see with people. Crappy belts, crappy holsters, but they switch it up a bunch. Why would he say that? Because if we're trying to develop this skill that supports me winning in violence, I want to give myself the best opportunity that when I go to the gun that I've got the time in, that I am been successful with in training, is where I left it. We'll come back to that. Talk about guns a little bit. I'm trying to be brief here because I tend to dig deeper into things because I don't think certain things we can just real quick. Let me give you the 2-second hack right? That doesn't work when we're talking about crap like this. You want to go to the doctor, and I'm not considering myself a doctor. You want to go to the doc, though, that did the Cracker Jack course for medical school? Do you want to go to the pilot that just breezed through the training manual? No, man, you want the doc or that pilot that dug in. On that note, Dunning-Kruger effect. We've all probably thought we knew more about a thing, and then later realized, man, I didn't know shit. Dunning-Kruger effect. There are tons of people in this space, including myself. I have been the guy that said, I know what I'm talking about, and then realized later I did not know what I did not know. If you ask me a question, clearing buildings, I'm going to say, you know what? I've got a little knowledge on that topic, but why don't you call up Z Durham, 5th Group Special Operations guy, part of the CIF, the Commander in Extremis Force, when it was still around. That was their specialty, was direct action assaults like that and doing room clearing and things like that. Or Paul Sharp, big city SWAT cop for years. Go check those guys out, right? If we want to dig into the art and science of carrying a firearm on you into the world on a daily basis and being efficient and proficient with it to hit humanoid-sized targets within the distance of the capability of said gun, I might know something about that. And I want to share that with us today. So I figured I'd touch on that point. Don't come to a discussion like this with a know-it-all attitude. Let's change a little camera angle as the sun is moving. I want to make sure that you guys aren't getting washed out. So, topics here range from the minutia of which holster, which gun, which ammo, to the broader stuff. And I can't just give you broad or minutia. We kind of have to dig into a bunch of it. So I see shitty holsters constantly. With a shitty holster, I have a shitty foundation, which causes my holster to want to move around in the draw stroke or in movement, or it allows the holster to move on the body. 2, a good holster. Let me grab this Tenacor and a Glock 19. Should hold the gun with good purchase. If it fell out, same thing would happen while you're running. I have been in classes where we're moving and a guy's holster is either designed poorly or the retention mechanism, which is often friction in these types of holsters, allows the gun just to bounce out. That's a problem. That's a problem. It's not just a problem on the range, that's a problem if you're carrying a weapon into the world. You know, talking about celestial stuff at the beginning of the video, the solstice. Let's think a little bit for a second about the planets. Mars, martial. What do they have in common? We are training and teaching a martial skill. You go to a martial arts dojo, hi-ya, hi-ya. Martial comes from the word Mars, right? And who was Mars? Who was he? He was the god of war, right? War. I'm not suggesting that we're training for war, but is there much more warlike than drawing a weapon and sending a hot ball of metal into human flesh? I don't think that that is any more, or that there is anything more warlike than that. A hummingbird just stopped and watched you guys at the back of the camera. That was cool. Back to the point at hand. Frickin' Cinderella out here with the birds. I love it. Is the things that I'm doing and purchasing going to stand up to the violence that I'm actually training for? Big picture. What's my goal? To win in violence. Why? Because I like being alive. Why? Because living's cool. The things that I'm setting up here need to support that. John Bianchi, Bianchi holsters, coincidentally. Another one here. Safari Land, Bianchi holsters, synonymous companies. John Bianchi, an OG of the holster makers in America, said one gun, one holster all the time. One gun, one holster all the time. Why? Why is that relevant? Because if I'm training to be able to win in violence, I need to develop a draw stroke and the ability to get that gun in front of me to be able to send projectiles into whatever it is that's trying to hurt me with nauseating reliability. One gun, one holster all the time. Which brings up another issue. So we see shitty holsters, we see shitty belts, I see shitty training, where people are using 4, 5, 6, 10 guns in a training session. Nope, let's stop that. And there's one gun you have to have. No, there is no one gun. We're gonna look for a gun that we can shoot well. Here's an example. PX4 from Beretta. This one happens to be sexed up by my friend Ernest Langdon. I've been shooting these guns before they were the thing again, and my brother used to carry a PX4. He was probably the only person I ever knew that carried one on duty and loved it. He carried it in a 40. Is this the gun? I don't know. But if you shot this gun well, that's your gun. How about the little Glock 48? That's your jam? Then go with it. Go with it if you shoot it well. Food for thought. There are a lot of gun makers that are happy to sell you stuff that is untested, poorly tested, or has some history of failures. You guys can just think about some makers that are out there. There is a reason that I am shooting almost exclusively Glocks. And I'm not a Glock fanboy. If you don't like this part of the video, just fast forward a little bit. They rarely break. Everything breaks, but they're easy to find parts for. They're cheap. I mean, I can break this gun apart into the 15, 20 components that make up the main components of the gun in just a few moments with a flathead screwdriver, with a Bic pen, with basic hand tools. Are they accurate? More than accurate enough. You can hit stuff 50 or 100 yards away with it. Does that do it? Is it really easy to find components for them? Sure. This J-frame, I have had this J-frame for 20-ish years. This one was sexed up by the good guys at the Smith & Wesson Performance Center. I love the resurgence of people shooting J-frames. My good friend Brian Eastridge is behind a gun that seems like everybody's shooting now. I have to get one. I haven't got one yet. Him and Dale Bolke and many others, but they got some input on it, and Smith & Wesson is making these things popular again. They never should have not been popular. But is this the end-all be-all? Well, tell you what, my 4'11" mother, whose hands are half the size of mine, is not going to hold this gun very easily, right? These are guns for people with some time behind a revolver or pistol. So we don't just buy this and hand it to the new shooter. So I want you to get a gun that you can shoot well, because if I need it, back to the big picture, it's not, can I stand out here on the range and go pew, pew. It's, can I, under violence, get that gun up to win? Martial, warlike, the god of war, right? So we see a lot of crappy belts. We see a lot of crappy holsters. We see things like guns that don't fit the shooter or are not reliable. Just because some sexy high-speed dude shoots the thing doesn't mean it's a good gun, okay? There are guys that are getting paid $5,000, $10,000 a month. Not a lot of them. Most of the guys that you see that are pro shooters don't make much money doing it. It's a labor of love. But those that are sponsored by companies, a lot of times are shooting those guns not because it's their favorite gun, but because that's the company that offered to pay them, which doesn't make them bad dudes. You make a living, I make a living, they need to make a living. Shoot the gun that you can shoot best. Going and spending more money or even less isn't necessarily it. But if I had my druthers and I couldn't afford a lot, I'd go to the gun store and say, hey, when do the police trade in Glocks come in? Get me a 17 or a 45 or a 19, and I go buy a few parts for it, spring kit, put $100 of parts into it, and you're gonna have a really good gun. Some Ameriglow sights, life is good. This one happens to be sexed up by my good dude, Ben at Boresight Solutions, Apex Trigger on there. Next point, training. Get all the gear sorted out. And then, is the thing I'm doing in my training supporting me winning in violence? Is it supporting me winning in violence? Well, what's that look like? We can quote little isms like 3 rounds, 3 seconds, 3 yards, 3 feet, blah, blah, blah. Sure, maybe. Awareness is the currency with which we buy time to act. That's a little phrase that I like to use. I came up with years ago. I'm quoting myself, which is a rather douchey thing to do, but it fits. Awareness is the currency, the thing we pull out of our wallet and we take our attention and we pay for it by giving up attention elsewhere. Training should start with a knowledge and an understanding of your capabilities and your limitations. A knowledge of what in the environment is a life threat. You know, down in the environment I'm in here, there's not much that could hurt me from the perspective of an animal. There are black bears in these woods. I'm not too scared of a black bear for a lot of reasons, which we won't go into in this video. But you know what? There are hornets' nests out here. I get stung 100 times out here. I'm in trouble. There's poison ivy out here. That won't kill me, but that'll make me uncomfortable, right? There are things like that. So I need to know what's in the environment. As you travel through spaces and places, it's on you to take in that information. We're training. And oftentimes you look at the comments of any of these videos and you see dudes say stuff like this: that'll never work because in the moment. What moment? What moment are you training for? Did you create this moment where you're scared? Did you create this moment where you are caught off guard? Did you create this moment where you were sleeping? Talking to a friend of mine yesterday, he was a six NFL teams. Let me rephrase that. 6 years he played in the NFL on a few teams. That sounds better. Do you think that those guys trained thinking about just losing? Or did they train with the idea to win? Did they train and think, what will give me the best possible outcome? That's what I want to talk about the rest of the video. Let's gun up. All right, I'm back. First of all, thank you to my homeboys at Tactical RX. They make all of our eyewear, both prescription and non-prescription, made in Colorado. Excellent dudes, high protection rate. They come in a really nice case, which I dig too. They've got tons of different styles. Send them your prescription or no prescription. Don't matter to me. I'm gonna throw a Glock on here. Let's do a Glock. I'm gonna grab Vetter holster. I'm gonna grab a Glock 19. Some of you guys are like, I'm sick of this guy with all of his Glock talk. You're gonna start to notice something. We talked about Marshall. We talked about this concept of winning in violence. Let's talk about righteous force. Righteous, right. I'm not talking about holy. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about the idea of right and wrong. Right and wrong is based on the idea of our moral code and our legal code. Our legal system is really based off of the ethics of the people of a land, right? If everybody thought it was okay to eat kids, it wouldn't be illegal to eat kids, right? We don't think it's okay, thus it is illegal. We don't think drinking and driving is a good idea, so we make it illegal. The things that I'm doing need to be predicated on an understanding of the law, good practices, master grip, lock the slide to the rear, retrieve a magazine, administrative load, seat lock, tug, cycle, press check, tap the gun into battery, thumb check the slide, verify before I even bring the gun out that it's safe to do so, and recover safely to my holster. Everything we're doing is predicated on the desire to get a good outcome. If in violence, I have given my attention to something I shouldn't, and I am caught in a position where a draw stroke is fouled, somebody's too close to me and now I'm having to fight with my hands, I am not aware of what's around me and I hurt somebody, whose fault is that? That's my fault. We have these cute sayings like, you don't get to pick your fight. Well, maybe not, but I get to pick everything about how I train. I get to pick whether or not I show up at jiu-jitsu. I get to pick whether or not I did the push-ups. I get to pick whether or not I did the squats. I get to pick whether or not I did wind sprints. I get to pick whether or not my head's in my phone. I get to pick whether or not I am paying attention to him or her or them or this. I get to pick all of those things. So when we give away, when we give up our right to any kind of a say-so, and we use these cute little bullshit concepts of you don't get to pick, what you're saying is you don't care enough to dig in. You don't care enough to make the conscious choice to train with purpose, with intensity, with excellence, with fervor. That's on you and nobody else. Let's agree together to toss out this silliness and understand that we are indeed talking about something that is purposeful. Once a week or so, I read a book about our founders, and usually I am studying something that has either a big emphasis or at least some contextual analysis of our Second Amendment and Bill of Rights. Well-regulated did not mean regulated by law. Well-regulated meant well trained. That training is a choice. That training is you deciding to go get best practices. That training is you deciding to know the laws. That training is you being a good citizen. That training is us collectively being good representatives of our republic. That training is us being good parents, teaching our kids to be good adults as they grow. Responsibility is really what it comes down to. I see a lot of folks that carry that are not responsible in the manner that I think that you are, and that's why you're watching this video. I think that a lot of people take it seriously. Let's do a synopsis. Purchase gear that will support the gun on your body so it's where you need it to be. A good holster, a good belt. Purchase a firearm that's built as a fighting weapon. You know, I mentioned my buddy Ben from Boresight Solutions. Ben was an Air Force Special Operations guy. Ben's motto is built for the fight. That's cool, man. There's a reason that he uses that motto. The guns are built to be more robust, more easily gripped, more easily fired, not less. They're not made to be less safe. They're the best parts. I'm not giving you a pitch for him. I'm just trying to get, I guess it is, but I'm telling you why we choose these things. Think about this. What's my goal? Is or are the things I'm doing supporting the goal? Are they getting me closer to the goal or farther away? Too often we don't think about that stuff. We don't think about it because our head is in 98 places. Responsibility requires us to be adult about the choices we make. Awareness of him, or them is no different than me putting my effing phone down and being serious when it comes time to train. You know, I go to different jiu-jitsu gyms, including my own, as I'm traveling, and I find it to be insulting to the school, to the art form, to the instructor, to the other students and training partners when people are just screwing around, talking, playing on their phone. People are there to train in art, to have fun, to get healthy and all that, but in art, to survive violence so they can go home to their kids. And you got the balls to sit here and BS while somebody is there trying to learn how to go home to their kids. Now, you might look at this and say, dude, you're too serious, take it easy. Nope, there is a time to play. I'm the biggest joker I know. You go to the guys at my gym and they will say, Mickey is the one that makes all the jokes and has all the fun. But when it's time to listen, you shut the F up. When the instructor's talking, you shut the F up. When the instructor says drill, you drill. And that's the problem I see in this space, man. We do our classes and there are amazing individuals that come out and train their ass off with me and with all the other instructors that are out there. Time and time again, I see people blah, 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 blah. You told me everything I need to know about how serious you are about winning through violence. Oh no, that's not true. I just wanted to tell this guy. You just wanted to tell him what? What'd you want to tell him? You wanted to tell him, oh look at this, big old Glock stick. You wanted to tell him that this thing that you were thinking about is more important than the job. She's getting warm. Or the task at hand? Did you think that showing him your sweet blaster was more important than the lesson? That is really, I think, the hinge point, the crux of the matter, is can we, you and me, dig into the important points so that we can survive in violence? I swear to God that if it comes down to it and you need these skills, you will not be able or will not wish to say, I'm going to set that down, she's hot. I wish I spent more time training. I wish I was more focused. How much crap do we need to train? Do you need to be the best bill drill shooter? Do you need to shoot a sub 2-second bill drill? No. Do you need to be able to win a USPSA match? No. Will those things help you? Sure. How about getting out and firing 50 rounds a month? Dry fire an hour a month. And there's guys that are going to say, F that, do way more. Sure, if you need to, if you want to. But if I can sharpen my edge enough that I can cut and I'm aware of the problem, there's nothing there. If I have the ability to put my things where I need them, we use it saying in class, put the gun and the gear in the condition and position on your body you want to find it in should you need it to save your life or somebody else's. When I'm training, I think to myself, is this thing set up that if my little girl, my little boy, my granddaughter, my lover, my brother, my friend, my mother, if they needed me and I failed, am I set up to the point that failure from my choices is taken out of the equation? Luck is for suckers. We all get lucky. We've been lucky that we didn't get in a car crash. We've been lucky that the boss didn't find out about the thing you did. We've been lucky about a million things. We all get lucky. Luck is for suckers. And when we rely upon luck, as the thing to help us get to the next day, you got fucking nothing. You've got nothing because you have no control of it. And I'm not talking about being a control freak. Building a long gun with my buddy Mr. Webster from Webster Customs out in Montana, pardon me. Got a mouthful there. Mr. Webster, I noticed as I'm working with him, and I developed this idea. I mean, there's things this guy was doing to these rifles, which I'm going to show you the whole 6.5 build. This is an amazing bolt action long gun. Control what you can control. Say, hey man, why are you working on that? Why are you doing that? Because I can. Does it matter? He said, maybe a little, but I can still do it. Control what you can control. I can't control what they do. I can control if I see them. I can control where I'm at. I can control what's on me. I can control my level of fitness. You notice that comes up over and over. One of the top 10 things that I see with people is they're not walking around day to day with some level of fitness that supports winning in violence. Now, there are guys out there with huge YouTube channels. They're big instructor dudes, and they'll tell you it doesn't matter. I've never met a warrior. I've never met a fighter. I've never met a big city cop that puts their hands on people on a daily basis in violence. I've never met a big bouncer. I've never met a boxer. I've never met a rancher that has to get out there and work his butt off that says physicality doesn't matter. Of course it matters. And anybody that says otherwise is blowing a hot lungful of air up your rear end because they don't want to tell you the truth about them. Don't listen to that guy. Your ability to win is heavily predicated and reliant upon your physicality and fitness. Here's the one thing we know for sure. Is it going to hurt? What's the goal? Live a long, full life. Do we want to go to death with emphysema, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, all these things? Not trying to get preachy, but if the goal is to win, physical fitness should matter. They should be a tight, dovetailed, meshed fabric of who we are. The gun is just a single thing. So in this roundabout conversation that we had today on some things that I see that hurt people and some roundabout ways to make them better, I got to share some of my thoughts. I am so honored that we get to travel the country and do this. I am even more honored for the great men that bestowed some of this information onto me and allowed me to be mentored and a student of them. I'm very grateful that the support you guys give us. If you dug this, put it in the comments. If you don't agree, put it in the comments. Let's have a conversation, back and forth dialogue. If you put something douchey in there because you're not adult enough to have a conversation without being an asshole, I probably won't respond because it's just not worth my time. If you want to be an adult to talk about the adult things that go on training ranges and the adult things that good citizens do to promote and protect the cause of liberty, then throw it in there and let's chat about it. The solstice, baby. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. It's been a long one. It's been a long chat, and it was great to visit. Bye now. You ready, Drew? I need more magazines. All good hits. We put some headshots in there. We got some body shots. We got some headshots down there. I dig this thing. I'm only upset they didn't come with 20 mags because I just keep blazing with this thing. Let's do it again. All right, we're gonna do this just one more time because it's fun and I can, and it's our show and we want to, right? Hey, you a coffee drinker? Check this out. We're roasting it ourselves. Ignis Lux. This happens to be a medium blend. Roasted with love just for you. Ignis Lux is Latin for fire light. There's a lot of choices out there with coffee. I guarantee you this. If you buy this, if you try it, and you don't like it, I'll tell you too bad. Check it out. Ignis Lux. I guarantee you're gonna dig it. Firelight is what that means in Latin, and it denotes the fire that's in all of us. IgnisLux.com. Be well.